Hello and welcome back to Cantick Head Lighthouse. If you've watched my last video, you will have seen a lovely tour of this beautiful accommodation and the surrounding area. Also, if you watched my last video, you will have seen me say that potentially in the next episode I'd be photographing some interesting movement in the water around this peninsula. Well, after the sun had risen, the light wasn't quite as good, and that sort of the contrast and the colour that I was getting and that was enticing me in had disappeared pretty quickly. But depending on what happens this evening or what happens in sunrise tomorrow, it may be a video idea, or it's given me an idea of potential videos that I can create in the future in other parts of Scotland. Now, before we get on to the main theme of tonight's video, which is going to be me out photographing the sunset and potentially the lighthouse flashing as you know, after sunset and as we get into twilight, I thought I'd give you a quick roundup of what we've been doing today, because from this lighthouse it's pretty easy to get to Hoy by car, and that's what we've done today. We've spent the whole day in and around Hoy exploring that island, and Hoy is a part of Scotland that I've always wanted to go to. It's got a very famous sea stack, some beautiful secluded beaches, bays and cliffs, and also some ancient history. So I'm going to take you now through what I've been doing today, give you a quick roundup of it and show you what this incredible island has to offer before we head out and do some photography. Just now we've got really clear skies, although there's a lot of cloud coming in now, which is amazing because we're about 50 minutes now till sunset. So I'm really hoping we've got these lovely high up wispy clouds in the sky, which are your stereotypical clouds that you want for sunset because they tend to light up those incredible colours. But because the conditions can change so quickly, especially somewhere like an island in Scotland, I'm trying to utilise the conditions I have just now and create something that little bit different. So what I've done is I've come down sort of to near the cliff's edge here, and my main reason for coming down here was because I was hoping that the ripples in the water would look quite similar to this morning, to try and get those images that I was talking about in the last video. But the water's just not quite the same. But coming down here allowed me to see the lighthouse at a different angle with these lovely wispy clouds above it. And by using a wide angle lens, I was able to include a lot of these clouds in the sky. And just like in my last video where I put a polarizer on to slightly change the colour in the clouds and increase the sort of density of those clouds, I've done the same thing here, and it's really allowing those clouds to pop, like really bringing out that sort of, like I say, density and outline of the clouds, and also making the sky bluer, which is really allowing them to pop in the image. So this photograph I've taken here is something a little bit different. Something I don't really see very often. People photograph lighthouses, you often get those stereotypical shots that everybody kind of wants, but again, as I mentioned in the other video, it's really important if you want those unique shots to utilise what's not always there, and what's not always here is these beautiful wispy clouds. So a little bit different photograph here, just some experimentation while we're waiting for the sun to set and seeing what we can create. it's looking very unlikely that we're not going to get a really nice orange glowing sunset tonight. Unfortunately, there's a nice big blanket, that's probably not the right word, but there's a big blanket of cloud on the horizon which is obscuring that orange glow, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. But although we're not going to get this intense sunset tonight that I was really hoping for, the clouds tonight are just phenomenal. There are so many different types of clouds around me. Those wispy ones that I was mentioned a wee bit earlier, they're getting more and more. They're appearing everywhere, and some of the shapes are just incredible. So I'm going to hold across everything that when the sun does set, we're going to be greeted to some really nice, colourful, illuminated clouds. I'm really hoping and praying for this, because I just think it's going to make a phenomenal evening if it does happen. It's been a long time now since I have been out when the conditions have been, you know, there's been all these really high clouds with the wispiness, and I think to spend my final night at this lovely lighthouse here, to be able to go home with a really interesting image and some cracking light, I'm keeping everything crossed right now. But if it doesn't happen, if that light doesn't happen as I predict, it's an incredible night to be out. And you have to remember when you do photography that it's not all about the photographs that you go home with, it's about the experience and just fully embracing Mother Nature and everything that it presents to you. And on nice calm evenings like this, when you've got this incredible clouds around you, it's really awe-inspiring just to sit and just admire it. So as well as the incredible high up clouds that we've kind of got all around us this evening, on the horizon there's now these lovely puffy pink clouds that are just illuminating literally all around the scene. So beautiful. Lovely subtle tones, lovely subtle colours. What I've been doing is I've been walking around this field trying to get a composition of this lighthouse to include this island that's behind it, that's got these amazing cliff faces and everything on it, to allow me to showcase the island behind it, the view, the lighthouse, the cottages, the amazing clouds, as well as these new puffy pink clouds we've got. But one of the big issues is, like, I find this with a lot of lighthouses, is that there always is something obscuring the view. So here, for instance, we have, or if you can see behind me, there's an electricity pole, and it just completely ruins the vibe of the shot. Now obviously they need electricity poles, they need electricity, both for the houses and I'm guessing the lighthouse itself. So you know, every lighthouse has got these annoying electricity poles, and more often than not they are positioned in a part of the image and landscape that makes it very difficult to not have it in your photograph. Obviously if I was better with Photoshop I could Photoshop that pole out, but I don't want to spend all my time on the computer editing things out of my photographs. I like to get it as right in camera as I possibly can. So yeah, I'm just trying to find a shot of this just now that's allowing me to include all these different details and showcase the beauty here tonight, and again showcase those things that aren't always here, the beautiful clouds, these now puffy pink clouds, and yeah, try and get a sort of unique sort of angle of this lighthouse. And yeah, I think I've kind of managed it. I've got a composition now that I'm reasonably happy with. I've had to eliminate some of the cottages and I'm not getting the whole of the island in, but it's still a nice shot, and it's got rid of that annoying electricity telegraph pole. So yeah, I'll share that with you now. So I've now reverted back to the same composition that I was shooting this morning, just because I want to kind of get the difference of, like, the difference between sunrise and sunset and the difference in conditions, and because we've got these stunning spindly clouds here coming out of it with these subtle tones, it just adds a completely different feel to the image. So if you never saw this morning's images, check out my last video, and now you can see these images here and just the difference that the light is portraying here, and just how beautiful things are around me. Now the clouds behind me are starting to light up now, which you probably can't see. Some nice sort of yellowy orange tones. And the only difficulty and annoyance of that is that it's difficult. I don't think the lighthouse looks as nice from the other side as it does from this side. But I may walk over there and get a shot or two if the clouds really light up. But just now, just look at these lovely subtle tones. Loving this. And this image is a nice capture, exactly the same shot I took this morning, but just with different light, and it's beautiful. So I've come round to the other side of the lighthouse because, as you can probably see behind me, or I'll show you it, the light here is about to kick off massively. It's going to be an absolutely cracking sunset. But I've just looked back at those images I took a minute ago that I just showed you, and to me they're some of the best photographs I've ever taken of a lighthouse. The colours, the wispiness in the clouds are just incredible. So even though I think the best of the light is yet to come, I also think that you know, I'm super happy with the photos I've already got. And it kind of shows you, you know, this idea that sometimes, you know, if I was to shoot into the sunset, which the sun was setting behind the lighthouse, the composition is not as good, and so therefore the image at the end of the day is not as good. But behind it, I always say to people, always look 180 degrees behind you when the sun is setting, because sometimes some of the best colours, and especially those pastel-y colours, happen in the opposite direction to the sunset. And those photographs you just saw, I think, will have proved that in many ways. You know, the best light for the compositions for this location was 180 degrees from the sunset. But I'm excited actually just to sit here for the next sort of 20 minutes or so and just watch the sunset and watch these incredible colours come out, because I think it's going to be a stunning scene to witness. And yeah, it's just going to be beautiful. Oh, we've been so lucky with this, and I'm almost 100% sure that one of those images that you just saw as well are going to feature in my lighthouse calendar that is going to be coming out next year. So stay tuned for that, as I've already mentioned a few times in recent videos, because this has been an experience and a half coming here, and I had to get a photograph to feature in that calendar, and I think, in fact, I have done it, and I'm really happy. So now pretty much all of that light and colour has gone. We've still got a nice glow behind me, but I'm still so happy with those images, and I hope you like them as well. Now what I need to do, what I do when I come and shoot a lighthouse at sunset, I have to wait now for it to do its first flash. This is something that I always do when after the sun is set and twilight is descending. I love to see the lighthouse give off its first flash. There's just something so exciting about just sitting there, sitting near it and just watching it flash. There's a lighthouse over there on another island that's already begun to flash, so it's only a matter of minutes now before this one starts flashing. But yeah, I want to get some shots of it at twilight as well, flashing over the sea. I think it would just be a lovely way to end this beautiful few days here, and who wouldn't want to be out for as long as possible to enjoy this stunning scene. You know, what I didn't mention earlier is when we got back from our Hoy adventure, we sat under the lighthouse. There's some chairs under the lighthouse, and we had some tea overlooking the sea, and porpoises were breaching out of the water. We saw seals, there was gannets, there was cormorants, there was fulmars. You know, you name it, wildlife spectacles here are just incredible. And let's wait for this lighthouse to do its first flash, get some lovely twilight photos of it, and then cozy up in front of the log burner and watch a film before the end of another day. And what a day it's been.